Blog Talk Radio.
Very good afternoon to you, and welcome to Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm your host, Xander Gibb, and along with my co-host, Tyhe Egar, I will be breaking down this week's hot topics, interesting news items, and in part deux, I will be speaking to holistic biological dentist Dr. Michael Rouff. That's all very interesting. More to come in a mere moment. So you can interact with us during the show as per usual in the chat room at the bottom of the show page, and you can also call us with questions and comments to weigh in on our topics, or start your own on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Or on Twitter, you can tweet us. My Twitter handle is at Xander Gibb, XanderGibb, capital X, capital G. And also, Tyhe's Twitter handle is at Tyhe Egar, TYHEPAULEGAR, capital T, capital P, capital E. And also, Dr. Michael Rouff, his Twitter handle is at Dr. Michael Rouff. I'll spell that for you. DRMICAELROUFF. Capital D, capital M, capital R. Go to the show page. Go to www.xandergibb.com and click on this week's show. On all of the information you need is there. There are links to the Facebook and Twitter pages, so make sure you go follow our guests and co-hosts today. Don't forget, you can tweet me if you are too shy, and I will endeavor to make your point for you. So it's official. After saying as a nation we would not negotiate with terrorists, President Obama secured the release of one American citizen, a soldier who had allegedly, and according to his colleagues, deserted and possibly collaborated with the enemy for 5 senior Taliban members. Now, the far-reaching implications of this, over and above spitting in the eye of every New Yorker who lost someone in the 9/11 attacks, and Americans everywhere, is that it makes American citizens who travel outside of the U.S. potential bargaining chips, not only for terrorists, but for any country that decides to take us hostage. So, a great job there, Baz. The fact that he said he makes no apologies for this makes me not only furious, but majorly concerned about his ongoing behavior. Now, while we are on the subject of the president, I'm disappointed to report that Sergeant Michael Tamarisi is still being held in a Mexican jail with a potential 21-year jail sentence hanging over his head. Now, there was no bad intent with this young man's actions, and as soon as he realized he had crossed the border, did the right thing and surrendered to the Mexican authorities. Now, even though a petition with over 100,000 signatures has been handed into the White House, the president, as yet, has not picked up that phone. Maybe Sergeant Tamarisi would fare better if he were a black gay sportsman or actor, for then he would be insured a call and an invite to the White House. Doesn't it make you proud? God bless America. And I don't mean that flippantly, because we really do need his help right now more than ever. All this, and Charles Manson is getting paroled too. What has the world come to? I think it's officially gone mad. So on a lighter note, our charity support this week goes to Auntie Jane's Cat House. The rock doyen, Jane Canty herself, is taking care of many sick animals that otherwise would be euthanized. So please support her with a donation, however small, on the following link. We will tweet this out later. It's www.mrrosinskimusic.com/ministries. I'll spell that for you. It's MROZINSKIMUSIC.com/ministries. We will tweet that out later so you can help Jane County and Auntie Jane's Cat House and help a kitty today. Now, if you'd like to come on and get on your soapbox, please feel free to email me at xander@xandergibb.com. That's xander@xandergibb.com. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes. So joining me today to discuss the hottest topics and the funniest and interesting stories is writer, broadcaster, singer, songwriter, an honorary Glaswegian. I love that phrase. The one, the only, Mr. Tyhe Paul Egar. Are you there, Ty?
Hello, I'm here. Yes, I'm here this time. I was having a panic attack dialing. I thought, please let it connect. But it has.
I know. All these technical issues, and everyone blames everybody else. Skype says it's Blog Talk. Blog Talk says it's Skype. I blame the president. What about you?
Well, apparently, let's blame the president, because it certainly wasn't Skype, by the way, Blog Talk. So have at it. And your friend, by the way, on the chat room is saying that Manson is not being paroled, by the way.
He's not. Well, we got this
so.
from the news. Where are we? Manson is not being paroled. Well, we will have to check that and report back, because I've seen that on several news sources that he's being paroled. I know he's been up for parole in the past, but I thought it was a given. But how many people did he kill? I mean, there were so many people, or that he killed, and he was also responsible for the death of. So it just goes to show. So how is Glasgow today? Has it been really warm? It's like 82 degrees here in New York City, and I'm sweating my panties off. Really, it's really hot, and I can't have the AC on during the show. So I'm sitting here wasting away to a mountain. So what's it like in Glasgow?
Well, firstly, thank you for that image. That will stay with me for quite some time.
You are so welcome.
It's not been 82 degrees, but it has been a very nice day. So yeah, it's been a good day, but that's it. Yeah, we're doing quite well here usually, because Scotland's not famed for its great weather, but we're doing okay so far. We've not had a nuclear summer, but we're okay. So,
well, apparently it's going to rain all next week here, so you'll probably get sunshine in England, because I find that there's never, I don't know why, but we never seem to get the parallel weather. Like if it's raining here, it's sunny in England, and usually always it's raining in England, isn't it? Let's face it, unless you're very lucky and you get a little bit of sunshine coming in.
England tends to do better than Scotland, but then they're closer to Europe than we are. We're closer to Norway, so it tends to be colder here. Yeah, we're at the poor end. We're the peasants.
I think even when I've been to Scotland in the summer months, it's kind of still a lot cooler. I mean, it's warmer, but you still got to wear your thermals, lad. I suppose it depends which time of the year you go, but I've never found it to be. I've never been to Scotland and it's been really hot. But what are you gonna do?
It's getting better.
Good.
Thanks to global warming, we're doing well.
Yeah, but there's still a big debate about whether global warming is actually happening. But let's not get into that bone of contention today. Just a note for the people in the chat room who are in as guests, you can actually sign in with Facebook or Twitter, and that will allow you to comment in the chat and tell us what you think of the show, or make comments on what we're talking about. So without further ado, let's look at the first topic for discussion today, Ty. So apparently, this had me laughing my ass off when I was driving to the studio the other day. Apparently, a Japanese woman has decided to let it go and file for divorce, according to Digital Spy, who reported that she had filed because her husband didn't like the popular animated movie Frozen. The 29-year-old decided to end her marriage after 6 years when she realized that her husband is not a fan or ever will be of her obsession, Disney's Frozen. Frozen, starring Kristen Bell, and let me get this name right because I don't want to do a Travolta, Idina Menzel. Now, this all began when she actually forced her husband to watch the movie, and after viewing, he gave a bad review, which clearly bothered his wife, and according to a Japanese website, Kikansha no Haba Akaba, which translates as the grave site of married people. This was the husband's review for the movie. I'm not going to do a Japanese accent because I don't want to offend our Asian listeners. No. It's an okay movie, I guess, but I didn't really care for it personally. Now, that's not really the worst review in the world, but the husband's lack of excitement for Frozen really did it for the woman who said, apparently, if you can't understand what makes this movie great, there's something wrong with you as a human being, and I want a divorce. I mean, what the frick is this all about, Ty? What's your first response to this? Now, if you were... go on.
No, well, I just think personally, maybe she might think about getting some kind of psychiatric intervention. If this is true, obviously. But I think this has to possibly be the most controversial animated movie ever made. Because it's not that long ago that it was being attacked by some Christian society for promoting homosexuality because
really?
Yeah, because the magic, the fairy or whatever she is that creates the frost, they were saying that her magical power was gay. It's a really controversial movie, and I still haven't seen it. So apparently, I should hand in my gay card.
They'll be asking for your fag badge back, Ty. They really will.
Absolutely. So I think I'll just pop it in the post now. But what a ridiculous thing to say. But clearly there are issues. I mean, if this is true, there are clearly huge issues in this marriage to start with. Because to say I want a divorce, you don't like my movie is I mean, the girl's got issues, bless her, really. But now I really must watch this movie because I'm clearly missing out on something.
Well, it's funny because my neighbor is obsessed with the movie and said to me, started talking to me about Frozen. I'm like, it's one of Madonna's best tracks, and she's like, can you get into the naughties, Xander? It's a movie now. I went, Madonna's made a movie, and she's like, no, Madonna has nothing to do with it. It's just about it's an animated movie. So I haven't seen it either, so I can't comment really on what the big fuss is about. But for me, what's the big deal? We've all been in relationships with people who don't share our likes of whether it be TV shows, movies, whatever it might be. But I don't think I would split up with someone over that. Would you?
I never have anyway. No, but I know I've got a lot of gay male friends who have been to see it and loved it. But I miss out that really because I just have this vision of a cinema full of homosexuals singing along to the songs.
I bet that place stank of chorus.
Well, no, really, and just gay, just queens singing along to the songs. I mean, and Christians outside picketing it. I mean, what a fabulous movie. Well, surely there's going to be a sequel. I mean, I don't know how it ends. Obviously, I haven't seen it, but I'm going out to buy a copy tomorrow.
Sleep in the chat room is saying that the movie sucks. And again, I can't say yay or nay. Because you know what it's like if you actually come out and say I hate Frozen, this is how it's becoming nowadays. That we will get a new terminology next week. There will be people that are saying that they are Frozen phobic. So if you don't like anything to do with the movie Frozen, you're going to be called a Frozen-ophobe. And there will be, and apparently there was last week or something, there was an anti-homophobia day. So I vote next Monday should be the anti-Frozenophobia day. I mean, what the hell is the world coming to? You know, if we don't agree on something, can't we just agree to disagree? I mean, I know there are kind of like far-reaching implications to some of these things, but can't we just agree to disagree if we don't like the same things or don't agree on the same things? Why does that make you phobic if you don't agree with me?
Well, personally, my top tip is if you have if you find that you with your partner you don't share the like of a movie, buy another TV set and pop it in the bedroom, and go watch it in there as opposed to splitting up. But but I can't. I can't. As I say, I haven't seen the movie. I have to pop in though. I did go and see Maleficent last weekend, and it was fabulous. So there you go. So we'll get people phoning in now.
Isn't that also a musical film?
Well, no.
No.
Well, no. But I just thought I'd pop that in.
see how often I get to go to the movies. I'm always just like too busy working. But yeah, I've heard quite a lot about that. So if you're listening and you have an opinion on Frozen or even what's it called, Maleficent,
yeah, it's Angelina Jolie. It's the retake on Sleeping Beauty, but it's the story.
Oh, really? Right. I get it now. So if you have an opinion on any of these things, call us now, 347-884-9061. Tell us what you think. What did you think of the movie Frozen? Is it crazy that this Japanese lady has divorced her husband just because he doesn't like it? You can call in and tell us what you think right now. And again, the number is 347-884-9061. My brain just went a blank there. I mean, I can really understand like divorcing your husband if he beats you or he sleeps with other women, but not just because he doesn't like the same movies that you like. It kind of just. We were discussing on The View the other day, and they had Roseanne Barr on, whose mother that is, but we will not go any further on that one. And she was saying, "Oh, of course, yes, you should be able to divorce your partner if they don't like the same movie that you. You got to have things in common." And I thought, I say that you got to have things in common, but you don't have to have everything in common with your partner because. Go on.
Well, how boring would that be if you had everything in common? You'd never leave. I mean, no, God no. That would be so dull. And anyway, if you don't have an argument, you can't have makeup sex. What's that about?
Absolutely, there is that element to it. I mean, do you think that this is just like a what's the word? Like an ironic situation, or do you think that this is more common? I don't mean about people not liking Frozen. Heaven forbid, because we don't want the Frozenites calling in and saying we're Frozenophobes. But do you think that a lot of relationships split up over little stupid things like this, that, maybe they don't like all of the same things? Or do you think that this is just kind of like a one-off?
No, I think crazy people split up over silly things. I think people who are committed to a serious relationship don't.
Right.
But obviously, I mean, if this is true, obviously, we don't know whether it's true or not. But now I want it to be because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if it is true, he's a very lucky man. I mean, run for the hills, get away from this woman. She's insane.
Yeah. Apparently, she as soon as she heard that he didn't like it, she like got her shit together and went off and stayed with her mom. And frankly, if that was my partner, I would be saying, and make sure you come back and get your rest of your crap, because if you're that petty, what does it say for the rest of our potential relationship?
Well, absolutely. I'd be changing.
I want to have roast beef for dinner and you don't. Well, if you can't eat roast beef as well, then I'm going to stay at my mother's. It's like, get real.
Yeah, no, I'd be changing the locks. To hell with that, really.
Absolutely. So, but you are gonna watch Frozen. Maybe you'll report back for us and tell us what you actually thought. I mean, maybe I should watch it. I think it's on Netflix now. Someone was telling me, but I'm not. It doesn't grab me. But I have to say, recently I got really taught a lesson because I think sometimes when you hear about something like secondhand, or you get an idea of what something might be, and then you think you don't like it. Well, there's this. I've probably mentioned this to you before, but there's this TV show called Orphan Black, and it's on BBC America. I don't know if you're getting it in the UK yet, but I didn't like the idea of it. It was because it was sold as just being about cloning, and that really didn't interest me. So I was really bored one night at 3 a.m. and couldn't sleep, and I watched this episode and I was hooked, and I could not believe that I'd surpassed this series just because I didn't like the sound of it. I mean, maybe the people at the BBC America need to sell that show a little bit better. But after I watched one episode, I was hooked. It really did kind of grab me. And the lead, the woman who plays the lead in it, Tatiana Maslany, plays seven roles, and it's really kind of gay friendly because there's a gay character in it, there's a lesbian in it, and now one of the clones who was born a girl is actually a trans male. So it's got everything really. It's really covered all of the bases.
That's definitely hitting your back.
Absolutely, and so it couldn't be accused of not being equal ops oriented, as it were. So you definitely come back and tell us about when you've watched Frozen, whether the hype about it is all true. My neighbor's going to be up punching me in the face if she hears me talking about Frozen in a derogatory way. You know that, don't you? And I'm not joking, really. It has this Frozen fever. I still can't stop laughing about the fact that I thought it was something to do with Madonna, but there you go. What are you going to do?
I'll come back and do a meet segment.
Brilliant. We come and do a movie review. So let's move on to our next story. I touched on this a little bit in my rant at the beginning of the show on my soapbox. Now, a deal that's what Sergeant Bo Bergdahl from Taliban captivity, has given cause for serious criticism about negotiating with terrorists and exchanging American lives for enemy prisoners. Now, Bergdahl was held by the Taliban for 5 years, was released after negotiations through a Qatari interlocutor succeeded. While not as well known as Guantanamo inmates like 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the Taliban 5 were some of the worst outlaws in the U.S. war on terror. Now, their release will end up replenishing the diminished leadership ranks of the Afghan Taliban at a moment when the United States is winding down the war there. Now, the deal not only spits in the face of every New Yorker who died in the 9/11 terror attacks, but also makes it a likelihood that U.S. citizens could be kidnapped to secure Taliban releases in the future, and Taliban leadership has said as much. Now, what is your first response to this, Tyhe? You've obviously had time to kind of take it in and think about it a little bit. What do you feel about this situation?
It's horrified, absolutely horrified, and this sounds really trivial, but it's the only way I can think of wording it, is I can't wait to hear the justification, because I don't see how it can possibly be justified in any language. Because it is simply, they are just replenishing the ranks, aren't they? Here you go.
Exactly.
Have another go at us. And it just seems absurd. And it is exactly what he's doing. He's negotiating with terrorists, which any country in the world has said they will never ever do. And once you've done it, he's opened the floodgates, hasn't he? I mean, once you open that door, you cannot close it. And as I say, I can't wait. I'm waiting to hear the justification, and it's horrific.
He's even said he's not giving any justification. He said he remains unapologetic for doing it. But let's kind of rewind a little. Let's look at this. Let's look at this in slow mo. On 9/11, the United States were attacked in New York City, and planes were flown into buildings and blown up, and hundreds of people were killed, maimed, and their families were affected and are still affected by all of this. And some of those people that were involved were held in Guantanamo for 5 years without charges. And in order to get one guy back, now I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't value all life, or even American life, but this guy Bergdahl had basically, and this is in the words of his colleagues, his own platoon. You have to forgive my military terminology because it is very limited, but they even said that he had. He deserted, and that they thought he was a possible collaborator, and that's not the media on any side have not taken that and kind of spun it. That's his own people that have said that. But to give away 5 people that have involvement at this level and hate America and live to attack America, and to send them back, to me is just absolutely meaningless. How is everyone that's affected by 9/11 supposed to feel about this? I mean, to me, it's an insult, really, isn't it? Let's face it.
It is, and it's not. And also, 9/11, obviously not as much as the families of everybody and that were affected, but 9/11 affected the world, and it's not. He's done this. It's not just affected Americans now. It's put everybody at risk in the world, because now it's worth kidnapping anybody.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Because he's opened that door on a worldwide scale, and
exactly.
And saying I'm not apologising for anything. Well, that's nice. That's big of you. But it's not your family you've just put at risk. It's everybody. It's every other life on the planet you've just put at risk. It's anybody walking down the street now who a terrorist perceives as valuable.
As a bargaining chip. Yeah.
As a bargaining chip. That's what he's done. So, and also, as far as politically, what has he just done now to America's chances of staying stable? He's opened the door for every political enemy he has. Because when people walk into a polling station, what are they going to have in their head now?
Exactly. But I think this is a concern. I was one of these people that was taken in by him. I thought he really was good for America, and by the end of his first term of office, I had to totally disagree, because for me, it just the thing that the Democrats were always saying about the Republican Party when Bush was in power, that there was no transparency. And they totally, after the first 4 years, all of transparency had gone out of the window. And it was hard to justify his failures anymore, and to turn around and say, well, we inherited this situation from the previous administration. You couldn't blame, maybe some of the financial stuff, yeah, but you couldn't blame anybody else but the current administration for what was happening. But the continuum of bad decisions, things like Benghazi. Now, they knew of this potential threat. They didn't send in more protection for our embassy over there, and American lives were lost because of a failure to act. And then this. But in my book, that was Freudian. In my book, Bush wasn't the best president ever, but Obama has proven to be far worse. And the concern for me is that do we have to be, as a country, on our ass before anybody does anything about it? There needs to be an intervention very soon to impeach President Obama, because if they don't, we're going to end up. We're already a laughingstock in the world because of Obama's weakness. Look at just his response to Putin, because Ronald Reagan would never have done that, and I don't even think Bush would have done that. I don't have a lot of respect for George Bush. I'm sorry. But even George Bush wouldn't have done that. George Bush would have stood up to the Russian president and said, screw you, buddy. We're America. And I think that Obama has forgotten how great this country is, and weak leadership makes a weak country.
Absolutely. And the problem, and and Cameron, of course, is just following what America does. And we've got the same over here. He's a greedy coward, and at the moment he's trying to pass things. That's what's happening here. I'm sending out petitions like a maniac, and I'm sure people are sick of me on Twitter and Facebook. But he's doing the same kind of thing. He's keeping his head down, and at the same time he's trying to he's doing things secret. He's trying to keep things quiet, but he's doing things that benefit himself and not the country. And it's exactly the same. That we've had other prime ministers that would have done just the same and stood up and said no. So that's the problem.
Exactly.
We have a lot of world leaders at the minute who are just out for themselves and are too afraid to do anything. But this is
it's total self-absorption, and I think part of the problem as voters, what we do is we're not happy with the previous incumbents. We're not happy with who was in charge before. So we think, let's give the other party a go, and then we get more of the same. And when we do, we're like, we raise our hands in the air and say, what happened? Well, what happened was we elected another individual who was not able to reach the standards required for the job, and the concern is that we've got another 2 years of this inadequacy. Now, I mean, a couple of years ago, I would have stood up for Obama regardless, But when you start to take the lid off this, you see how far the rabbit hole goes. It really makes you have to be about what is right and what is wrong, and not about political affiliation. Because when you leave your responses down to political affiliation, you will accept anything. Like yesterday, there was a discussion on Facebook about this guy who is known to be a Democrat was praising President Obama for releasing these 5 Taliban. And I said, are you serious? You're praising him for putting the whole of our country at risk. And do you know what he said? He said, I was unpatriotic and un-American. I'm probably one of the most patriotic people that you know. But being patriotic does not mean pandering to faulty decisions. It means standing up for your principles. And if you can't stand up for your principles, then what's the point? What's the point?
Absolutely.
We may as well all be sheep. We may as well all be sheep.
But the thing is, as well, with people like that,
go on.
Well, the thing is, with people like that, though, are very good at calling you unpatriotic or calling you a traitor. It puts then the onus back on you, and they carry on doing what they're doing, and that's the whole point. And that's how things become the way they do, and that's how people like this get away with it, because everybody starts looking in the wrong direction. Somebody cries wolf, everybody points in the wrong direction, and this carries on, and this is how it happens.
So what is the mood in the UK right now? Because I'm so out of touch with UK politics. How long has Cameron got left? Because you had a Labour government, which is equivalent to the Democrats that we have here, and you now have a Conservative government, which is equivalent to the Republicans. But haven't you got a hung Parliament, which means something like it's 2 parties ruling or something, isn't it? No, we have a coalition government at the minute, which is the Liberals and the Conservatives. But next year is the next general election, 2015. Thank God.
But the problem we have is that Labour, which you're right, is the what are they? What do you?
It's the equivalent of the Democrats.
Democrats, sorry, yeah. But at the minute, for us, it's kind of the lesser of 2 evils. None of them are really worthy of running a country. But at the moment, I mean, the big deal for us at the moment is Scottish independence. It's whether we vote for that or not. Because I'm, as you say, I'm in Honorary Glaswegian. I live in Scotland. Our big deal at the minute is, do we vote for independence? And I'm a yes voter. I think that Scotland should go for independence, because the corruption now in England, in Westminster, which is where the seat of the government is here, is so corrupt now. It's outrageous. It's just disgusting. And people are, the homeless, people are becoming more and more downtrodden. Poverty is becoming worse every day. People are becoming homeless more and more every day. Corruption is becoming more and more obvious every day. And Westminster sucks the life out of the country. Everything gets sucked into London more and more and more constantly. The politicians are just becoming more and more wealthy all the time. And even those politicians that are supposedly, we're here for you, are becoming more and more greedy and more wealthy. So we're stuck, the same as you guys, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So really, there's nowhere to, where does your vote go? And that's the problem now for us. So
I have no idea.
The most important part at the moment for Scotland is, do you go for independence? And the way things are at the moment, I personally think it would be the lesser of two evils. So, it's to get rid of Westminster, get rid of those people altogether.
There is kind of a similar precedent here. However, it is similar, but then it's totally different because they could never really break up. Well, they could break up the Union, but I doubt they would break up the Union of the United States, all of the states together. But in a way, they have because although they all have they all have to obey the same federal rules and laws. Each state has its own laws too, and some of those are conflicting with federal law and local law are kind of like in conflict. But apparently that's the way. That's kind of like the way that it's always been. The local ordinances have kind of took precedence. But the concern for me is on a large scale. How far as a country does either the UK or even the United States let things go before they do something about it? And when in Obama's first term of office, and they talked about how about impeachment and stuff, I used to think, no, they shouldn't impeach him. He's doing his best, but there are times when your best is not good enough. Because if you're not up for the job, then you have to let someone else do it. Because your failures should not be should not be such that it affects the country so badly. And that's a real concern. And I kind of think that they will end up. I don't think that Obama will do his final term of office. He's not going to do the remainder of his term of office, which is like another 2 years. The next elections here are in 2016. Whilst I didn't really care for the other guy, for Romney, because his just a lot of his inclusionary or lack of inclusion for everybody was a real concern. He just wasn't my favorite person. He refused to reveal his financial situation, and what does that say? What does that say if you won't even tell people about how much money you have in the bank? It kind of says to me that you've got something to hide, and so that was a concern from the beginning. But ultimately, the thing is that as a country, both the United Kingdom and the United States need to step up and respond to what is happening, rather than just ignore it, because people have become so sedate. We get on the internet, we talk about things, and that's kind of all we do. We need another revolution, and I mean a peaceful revolution. Before I have the FBI knocking at my door. We need a peaceful revolution. We need to get out there and tell people exactly what we think and effect change and make a difference. What do you out there think about this? Call us 347-884-9061. You all seem very shy today. Call us. Let us know what you think. Was it a good decision for President Obama to free the 5 senior Taliban members, or was it a bad decision? Call us 347-884-9061. Tell us what you think. Tell us if it's a good decision or a bad decision. Now, do they have something similar to impeachment? Impeachment here means basically that they'll kick the president out of office. Do they have a similar situation for getting rid of a bad prime minister in the UK?
Well, yeah, I think it's a vote of no confidence, basically. The party can demand that the Prime Minister steps down. So, yeah, it's a similar thing. But at the minute, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, who is the Deputy Prime Minister, that's the coalition, is being called into question now. But that's only a matter of time, because when he decided to stand with the Conservatives, when he was voted, and that's certainly not what the voters wanted when they voted for him. It all got very complicated. But he, as far as people who voted for him are concerned, he betrayed everybody when he did that, because he could have called another general election. So this has all been very, it was devastating to people when he did what he did. So as far as I'm concerned, he deserves never to work again. But no doubt he's already made millions doing what he's doing. But I think, so yes, it could happen, but it's very difficult to make. It's very difficult, obviously, to make that happen. So.
Exactly. I think most people still have not forgiven Tony Blair. I mean, Tony Blair is sitting pretty with all these, well-paid jobs and seats on boards and stuff. But people still feel that Tony Blair deserted the United Kingdom in their hour of need. And it was kind of, for me, it was kind of, I think Tony Blair and Obama are very similar. And I think that apparently this happens with a lot of world leaders, that the power just goes to their head. I mean, on my friend's show, Dr. Gina Loudon, she was saying the other day, she was, she's qualified to do this. She worked in, she's in psychiatry. She's questioning the sanity of the president, with all of these kind of bad decisions. They were talking recently about adding a mental health section to the gun screenings, to be able to own a gun. I mean, shouldn't it be a feature of being the president that every month you have to have your mental health assessed, because anybody in that job would be very stressed and could kind of lose it, and their finger is so close to that button. I mean, shouldn't be a feature that every month that the president has to be assessed regarding his mental health?
Well, I would like to think it was already there, but I suppose the danger is it can be manipulated. But as far as, the gun law certainly should be there, for God's sake. If anybody could just walk in and back, well, they can, though, can't they? That's the point.
Yeah.
But, yes, you would like to think that somebody was standing around saying, I don't think the president's sounding well, But again, maybe that's the point, isn't it? We're the difference between the CEO of a company and the serial killer. The psychopathy is very similar.
Right.
There are very similar patterns to their behaviour. Very similar patterns to their behaviours. So yeah, why not?
I definitely.
The behaviour is scary.
It definitely is something that kind of needs to be assessed. But this is the other thing that made me laugh with all this conversation on Facebook yesterday. They were even suggesting that I'm racist. I mean, without going into great detail, I'm the last person anybody could ever consider was racist. So my response to Obama's policies is about his policies, nothing to do with the color of his skin. To me, that doesn't even come into the equation. But isn't it easy, like we were saying earlier about, Frozenophobes. If you disagree with Obama's decision, you're either racist or you're Obamophobic. So it's got to such ridiculous proportions now that we, what the hell is one supposed to do? I'm just going to be true to myself and say what I feel because that's what I have to do.
But again, that's like the guy calling you unpatriotic. It's a distraction. Oh, you don't like what he's saying, so if I call you a racist, it stops you. It's the hope that it'll stop you criticising. It's exactly the same. It's the finger pointing. So let's distract you. We'll point away because everybody goes, oh, really, what? Because you use that word, everybody gets afraid. So they stop talking.
Exactly.
And that's the point. And so again, it's a distraction. It's that tactic of distraction.
I'm going to have to start saying no. Anybody that disagrees with me is a Xanderphobe. If you don't agree with everything that Xander Gibb says, then you're Xanderphobic. You know, that, because to me that's the same level of mentality. If people can accuse me of the reason for my disagreeing with President Obama's decisions is because I'm racist, so anyone that agrees with my any of my commentary or decisions is a Xanderphobe.
Well, you know, sadly I can't use it. I think anybody who usually disagrees with me, it just means they've been listening.
Right.
So
exactly.
Bless them.
It does get concerning, and it does become very wearing. I mean, I had to leave the conversation in the end yesterday because it just, and I'll tell you what else it made me wonder. It became so tiresome, but it made me wonder if I was ever that bad when I was pro-Obama. I'm very kind of middle of the road now, and I will criticize both sides equally. And a lot of people are kind of becoming like that because at the end of the day, it comes down to whether you know how much you love America, and that's what it should be about. Not how committed you are to anyone particular party. Something just changed with the chat room. Did you just change something?
It was me. I accidentally clicked. That's all right. I fixed it back.
No problem. I just saw it happen, and I thought it was Blog Talk playing up again, or maybe it's the Obama administration. They don't like what we're saying on the show. Sorry, Baz. Sorry, Shelley. Apparently, that's even unacceptable to refer to the president as Baz. It's so. You know, his friends call him Baz, but for me to do it, for me to refer to him as Baz, is kind of, is not acceptable. Sleep's saying, how very dare you? How very dare we what? How very dare I refer to the president as Baz? So before we move on to the next item, go on.
No, it was me hitting the moderator control thing. Sorry, Sleep. It was an accident. I was just.
No problem.
I'm working laptop. It's not easy. I'm in Glasgow, darling. It's not easy.
No problem. So before we move on to the final item for discussion, okay, right, okay, no problem. Sleep is saying that he couldn't chat. His chat was blocked, but that was why. But we're all back to normal now. So one thing that I said that we would do, Sleep is looking for some help with his drag name. So any ideas, Ty?
Oh, God, don't throw that at me. I don't know. Well, I don't know anything about your style or the kind of act you want to do, or, you know, what colour hair, what style of frock, you know, what are heels. I need more information. Send me a picture.
Maybe you should have a private consultation with Ty, the drag doctor.
Yeah.
But if you have any ideas for Sleep's drag name, then you can call us on 347-884-9061, or you can jump in on the chat and tell him what you think his drag name should be. Absolutely, we are free and easy here. So let's move on to our last point of discussion. Now, a controversial T-shirt was removed by P in the Pod this week, which is a clothing company, after people complained it was offensive to pregnant women and fatties. So the $48 T-shirt, which read, "Wake me up when I'm skinny," and many tweeted that it was gross and a major fail. Now, as a fatty, I'm not pregnant, honestly, but I wasn't offended by it. And clearly, the Nazis are out in force again on the word police. And although the shirt is controversial to some, it's less offensive than another one which the store sells, which bears the phrase, "I miss my waist." Now, I miss my waist too, but one thing I never miss is my mouth. So where a P in the Pod was wise to quickly react to the public opinion like other companies have done recently. In January, Urban Outfitters pulled a cropped T-shirt emblazoned with the word depression after some complained that the shirt glamorized mental illness. I mean, what the frick is going on, Ty? What do you think about that?
I think, who cares? Seriously, if you are, if you're offended by a T-shirt, right, okay, so if somebody calling you fat is offensive, all right, it's rude. Speaking as somebody who was fat for 20 years, all right, things like that would upset me. If somebody was calling me fat, then yeah, it would upset me. So I did something about it, to be honest. But if you don't have a sense of humour, stay in. I don't know really how to react to that. It's just, I don't know. I haven't seen the T-shirts either, but and also speaking as somebody, because didn't they have one about mental illness as well? I've seen quite a few T-shirts that take the mickey out of mental illness. Well, speaking of somebody with a mental illness, I find them quite amusing. In fact, I've got one. I have a great T-shirt with a bizarre face on it that says "I'm not normal," and I look at it, one of my favorite T-shirts.
If you find my sanity, I want a T-shirt that says, "If you find my sanity, please return it." This is the thing. Well, why do we get so serious? I think some people, the thought police, the word police, telling us what we can wear, what we can say, what we can think. What the hell next? If you don't like a T-shirt that says "Wake me up when I'm skinny," then don't damn buy it. Isn't it that simple? Isn't it simple?
I don't, but this is what if people take themselves too seriously, I think. But I don't know what really. But if you think you have a problem with your weight, then seek help. If something like that really bothers you, then clearly you have an issue.
Did you say seek help or see kelp?
Seek help.
Right. Okay. I just thought I'd clarify because.
Seek help is very, very good for cleansing, but get over yourselves, people.
Yeah,
and also
exactly.
Stop taking your 6-year-old to McDonald's every day.
Exactly. And frankly, for me, in the United Kingdom, there used to be this one called Mary Whitehouse who used to try and say what people could watch and that there shouldn't be any swearing on the TV, and it's because of her that there was a watershed. Now, if you know that that a TV show has language in it, then don't let your kids watch it. If you know that things are not right for your kid, then don't let them do it. If things are not right for you, then just don't look at them, don't watch them, don't eat them, don't buy them. But don't try and restrict everybody else in the process.
Well, exactly.
Sleep just said that. Yeah. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Sleep. You should call yourself Seek Help.
Okay. You might need to play around with that a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Seek help.
Yeah, and you have to seek help. Yeah. Something. You have to play around with the wording just a little bit.
Leave it with me, please, and I'll get.
Wasn't there a few years ago they said that it was like your first babysitter's name and the first street you lived on, that was your drag name or your porn name or something like that.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, mine was always said your porn name was your first pet. Your first pet's name and the street you grew up on. So mine was Mick Olympia, which I thought sounded quite cool.
That is hilarious. But I'm sure it's a work in progress. Just don't get the business cards printed right now, Sleep, because I reckon it's a long time coming till you get that perfect name. I like names that plays on words. Things like I can't think of now I say that I can't think of one offhand.
There you go. There's one.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think is the answer with this about the T-shirt thing? Do you think they should have taken it off sale? Because I think companies are far too quick to be worried about. We talked about last week. We talked about how RuPaul's Drag Race took some stuff off because people had found it offensive, like the phrase "she-male." but it was spelled M-A-I-L. I mean, are we becoming too politically incorrect as a nation? You know, what is it? You know.
I think we just need to get over ourselves. Sorry, I think Fleet's happy with my suggestion, by the way, but there you go. But yeah, but you're right. If you don't like something, don't buy it and don't wear it, and, you know, because then what are we going to do? You know, somebody says something on the street that you don't like. What are you going to say? I mean, you can't muzzle people. Obviously, there are certain words that are unacceptable. There are certain phrases that are unacceptable, and obviously, we're never going to disagree with that. But people are entitled to have a sense of humour. You know, I don't agree with some, sense of humour. People don't necessarily like my sense of humour or yours, but it doesn't mean you can shut them up. It's people are entitled to laugh about things, and you should be laughing about certain things. You know, but
of course you should. Because it's one thing about for me to be able to describe me as I want to describe me, but if you don't like me describing you in a certain way, fair enough, tell me and I won't use that terminology. But you know, it's funny because Sleep was mentioning earlier on Facebook and said, oh, you know that Xander is the star of the killer tranny movies, and I said, stop, you can't say the T word anymore. It's it's not allowed, and we kind of laughed about it, but it has got to be like that. I mean, that was highly controversial, that series, just because of the content, but because of the name. So even the guy that wrote it and filmed it has kind of like moved away from it and doesn't want anything to do with it because of the negative connotations of the word tranny. I mean, I've been in the LBG community for quite some years, and I know you have been for longer, but didn't tranny used to be a term of endearment, and wasn't it short for transvestite, not transsexual?
Yes, absolutely, and it still is. I still use it, and I have friends who would still use it, and it is about transvestite, not transsexual. And as a gay man, the one thing that I'm sure that any gay man would, I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? I know with this voice as well, but I know,
I'm shocked.
But the gay culture, this is what pisses me off. Sorry I swore, but there you go. The one thing that gay culture is famous for and is known for is our humour, and nobody is taking that away from me, gay people included. No. So get over it, folks. We're funny.
Tyhe, how many times have we been out? How many times have we been out and you've called me a fat tranny?
Endlessly, darling. I'm still doing it.
Right. But isn't that a term of endearment? Do you mean that in a bad way or a nasty way towards me?
No, of course not. I love you. You're one of my oldest friends. And other people, call me...
Less of the old.
Oh, darling, please get over it. But, people call me crazy and nuts and just and mental and, and other words we won't go into on air. But, it's just insane, this nonsense about, you can't say this and you can't say that. But it's okay to keep adding letters to this ridiculous diatribe that we have.
I know.
And I know. It's okay, and we're happy to categorize ourselves. We're happy to constantly pigeonhole ourselves. But, oh, no, you can't say that. It's offensive. Get out of my face.
Exactly. In fact, Jane County, you know who Jane County is?
Yeah.
Jane County from Jane County in the electric chair. The electric chairs. Anyway, she is openly transsexual, refers to herself as a tranny, is always getting in trouble for calling herself a tranny. Even Facebook banned her for 2 days for calling herself a tranny. She's reverted now to calling it the GLBT community, which it was originally, wasn't it? It was originally the gay community, then the gay and lesbian community, and then the gay, lesbian, and bisexual community, and then the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and now it's the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning, and then there's something else, QI or IQ or I don't know.
Curious. Isn't it curious?
I mean, yeah, I don't know, but if you're questioning or curious, aren't you one of the above anyway? Or are you something different?
But this is my original
argument. Crazy.
Yeah, this is my original argument. It's like, right, hang on, right, people, get a grip. As far as I was concerned, anybody's welcome in the gay community or gay and lesbian community. Right. Why are we all suddenly giving ourselves labels? And also, why do you constantly want to be transgender? If you had gone from
that's a great point.
To male,
go on.
Right, you've gone from male to female, and surely now you are a woman. Why do you constantly want to have the label hanging over your head? Because
exactly.
I have friends who have gone from female to male, and they are now my male friends.
They're girls. They're girls now, aren't they? You know that's.
Yeah, or men. And I don't confuse them with transgender people. I don't get that.
No.
Because constantly saying I am now a man or I'm now a woman. However, I'm transgender. Well, stop it. You're now a man or you're now a woman. That's how I accept you, that you are my friend and I love you, and you are now that person you wanted to be, and that's how I accept and love you. So can we just get rid of these bloody stupid labels? I'm a gay man. I don't need to be anything else. Or I'm a homosexual. Right, fine. But I don't need to sit under an umbrella of 78 other labels. And if I want to call myself gay or homosexual or in humour, refer to myself as anything, when I am clearly referring to myself in humour or I'm making a point, I will do so. And if you don't like it, then don't share with me, you know? And as a writer, I will write exactly what I want to write because I live in a free world and I will express myself in any way I choose to do so. And again, if you don't like it, don't buy my book, don't come see me live, piss off, really, you know?
Ooh, which really brings us to the end of our time together. That's 2 swear words this week, Tyhe, so we will definitely be docking your wages accordingly. But tell people where they can find you on the social media network with your potty mouth.
Yeah. You can ignore me on Twitter at Egar, which is capital Tyhe, capital Paul, capital Egar, or you can like me at Facebook at Egar. They're the only places at the minute. My media company is about to come up and running, but that'll be in the next week or so I'll let you know all about that on the show at some point. Have a fabulous rest of the show, darling, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Tyhe. You have a great week there in Scotland, and we will speak to you very soon.
Take care, honey. See you later.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was the fabulous Tyhe Egar. Make sure you check him out on Facebook and Twitter. All his details are on today's show page. Indeed. So my next guest is Dr. Michael Rouff. He is a holistic biological dentist and naturopath physician. He received his dental degree from the University of Pennsylvania and believes in education because he believes that education is the cornerstone to understanding the fundamentals of disease. So please join me in welcoming to the show, for the very first time, the one, the only, Dr. Michael Rouff.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Xander. Xander, how are you?
I am fabulous. How are you? How is sunny New Jersey today?
Oh, it was lovely. It was nice and warm. I got to go to the pool club and play some volleyball and do some yard work. It was wonderful.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's quite warm here today. It's been like in the 80s, and I'm suffering because I can't have the AC on while the show is on because it's kind of loud. But I'm seeing all my family out in the yard eating barbecue. So I'm smelling that right now. So we all know, Michael, what a dentist does, but tell us what a holistic biological dentist does.
There's basically, the big difference is there's 5 or 6 things, in my opinion. One is mercury, the silver fillings, doesn't, in my opinion, and in the holistic world, mercury doesn't belong in people's bodies, in people's mouths. And again, I haven't been putting them in for about 20 years now. I've been now removing them safely for the last 3 or 4, protecting myself, my staff, and the patients from the mercury release when they're changed.
Right.
And another big issue is fluoride. Fluoride is a toxin. It doesn't belong in our water. It doesn't belong in our toothpaste. It's something that has been a big hoax. It does not help our teeth. It actually lowers your IQ, interferes with your thyroid, interferes and increases heart disease, increases cancer. So it's again, there's a lot of information out there. There's a book called The Fluoride Deception, which has been out there for many, many years. You can go on. Dr. Mercola has wonderful stuff online. The International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, which is the IAOMT, which I am a member, has many, many good articles on fluoride. And it's a big surprise to most people and most dentists that fluoride should be avoided. The third big issue is root canals. It's been known for over 100-plus years that root canals can have a negative effect on our bodies and can create chronic degenerative illnesses that are just, these are the people who go from doctor to doctor to doctor with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or unexplained autoimmune diseases, and it can and often comes from root canals.
So tell me this, Michael.
Go ahead.
Why? Let me just interrupt you. Why then are they still pumping fluoride into our water, and why are they still filling our mouths full of mercury if these things are so bad? That's
the million-dollar question. The original fluoride issue was that the fertilizer industry, as well as the nuclear industry, needed a way to dispose of their waste, which is the fluoride, hydrofluosillic acid, which is actually what a lot of times they put in the water, which is not even natural sodium fluoride, which is not good, but the waste from the fertilizer stacks are even worse. And they said, well, if we dilute it in water and we tell people that it's good for their teeth, they can pay us to get rid of it instead of us having to pay a lot of money to get rid of it. And it's been that way for a lot of years. And no one wants to step up and say the emperor has no clothes, because it's the science is there. One of the things that I've learned is that science and medicine are two different things. If you look at the science, it's very clear. If you look at medicine and dentistry, which have a political spins on it, it's not so clear.
Right.
And so that's the biggest issues that I see. There was probably the most impressive dentist that I've ever read about. His name was Dr. Weston Price. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Price-Pottinger Foundation. Weston Price, and then there was, I forgot, Dr. Pottinger did a lot of stuff with cats and nutrition studies, and basically was wonderful. But his studies were about root canals and trying to find a way to make so it's not toxic. This was in the turn of the century, between 1900 and 1925. His manuscripts were kind of lost and found, again, by Dr. Meining, who is no longer with us, who was a root canal specialist for 50-plus years. He read it, and he wrote the book, The Root Canal Cover-Up. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend that book.
He definitely won't be having any more. I've had a couple of root canal surgeries, and that kind of like makes a lot of sense. But I definitely wouldn't have them again. And even just for the past 10 years, I only drink filtered water.
Good.
I have a friend who double filters and boils water before they actually use it. So I think these things are necessary precautions, don't you?
Yes. Well, the only problem with double boiling the water is that all the minerals, the good minerals, are out of it.
When you boil them out, minerals, right?
So distilled water has its problems. So you want to have healthy water and pure water, but you don't want really distilled or hyper-distilled water, because that causes it pulls minerals out of your body and causes other problems. So another big issue is that there are, after extractions, there's something called a cavitation, that if it's not completely cleaned out properly or if there's residual infection, it can cause a dead spot in the jawbone that doesn't have proper blood supply, and that can also cause the same kind of problems that a root canal can.
Right.
Very. Again, dentistry doesn't recognize any of these things, which modern dentistry anyway. And the last thing is that metal in general, you want to try to avoid having metal in your mouth in general. Our bodies have acupuncture meridian flow and energy flows. Metal short circuits it, as well as a lot of the metals used in dentistry are alloys and create electrical charges that can disrupt our bodies and actually can cause degenerative problems in other parts of our bodies because, again, one of the things, if you go on the web, you can find dental tooth meridian chart, and you can say, again, like a tooth number 3, an upper right molar, is on the breast.
Right.
And if you have root canal or if you have metal there, it can actually contribute towards, and again, it's out there on the web, can cause and contribute to breast cancer.
That is really concerning because they're still doing these things, aren't they? Let's we've got a caller. Let's take a call and
okay.
Hi, you're live on Xandermonium. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi there, my name is Peter. I have a question for the doctor.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Doc. Okay, so here's my question. I haven't been to a dentist in some time now, and I'm mortified of actually even going to the dentist. I'm horrified of it because the last time I went to a dentist, I can't remember, 8 or 9, and he injected something in my mouth to numb my teeth, and it went into my sinuses, and he told me that wasn't okay. That doesn't happen, blah, blah, blah. It did happen. It closed my throat. I had to be, resuscitated and brought back.
Wow, okay.
So I'm horrified of dentists. So I have a dentist appointment very soon, and my teeth are kind of pretty bad, and I need some help. I need to know, what do I ask this dentist to do for me to okay, please help me. You know what I'm asking you, right?
Yeah. Basically, one of the things I just did a couple weeks ago, did an interview on, and it's up on YouTube, about how to find a good holistic biological dentist. The questions to ask. First of all, and again, and it has to do with some of the things that we've already talked about. Obviously, you don't want mercury, you don't want fluoride, you don't want root canals. You want someone to actually be able to talk to you, to be able to find out what your fears are, what your needs are, to explain things really well to you so that you can start understanding what the issues are for you, and so that you can actually start getting a relationship with this doctor. That's the only way for you to take the fear that you have, which is very justified. You had a bad experience. There are, I'm not a big fan of putting people, sedating people, but sometimes that's necessary. There is nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas, which can bring down your anxiety. But I think right now the biggest thing for you is to find someone that you can actually trust, that's not going to just jump in there and just go to town with you. You need someone to build a relationship so that you feel comfortable with them and you understand your needs and your desires and your wants, and then you'll be able to then, step by step, slowly move forward with your health. Does that make sense to you?
Does that answer your question
make sense
for you,
to me.
Peter?
It does, indeed. Say that I need a gum treatment, when they're going to, scrape my gums or whatever. I don't know what that means, but I had a diagnosis recently saying that they wanted to scrape my gums or whatever, and a friend of mine told me that was a horrible experience. Can you give me some advice on that and how I could go through that without
basically,
absolute
there's a
pain?
couple different things. if you have, your gums are bleeding and you have a lot of plaque and tartar and bacteria and everything going on, usually what I do with my patients is, again, my hygienist, we put you into it's called the soft tissue management program. We basically, the first visit, we just assess and explain to you what's going on. The next visit, it's called the debridement, where we basically gently take off and clean up the easiest stuff to get to. One thing in my practice that it differentiates me from 90-something%, probably 99% of the dentists, is that I use ozonated water and as well as oil, as well as gas to kill bacteria and any microorganism that's in the mouth, which allows it to heal. What I'll also do is I sell ozonated olive oil to my patients, and they actually can use that to actually brush their teeth between the first and second and third visits to help bring down the inflammation, bring down the bleeding, and minimize the amount of deep cleaning that we need to do. Now, when we do deep cleanings, we do and will go ahead and use anesthesia. Sometimes it's with a needle, sometimes it's with topical, very strong topical, to help so that you're comfortable throughout the whole procedure.
Okay. I thank you so very much. You've eased me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thanks for calling, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Good luck.
You somewhat. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think those are concerns that a lot of people have because most modern dentists, I find, it's like a production line. You know, you go in, they shoot you up with painkiller, they send you back to the waiting room, then they have you in and then they do something else, and you go to another room for cleaning. It's like a production line situation, and I think that most of us want similar to what's happening with doctors now, that you get a much personalized approach. And basically, I'm getting the impression is this is what you're offering, Michael, isn't it? You're offering a more personalized approach to dentistry.
Absolutely.
But you do a lot of things over and above dentistry, don't you? Because you do you do ozone therapy and my pronunciation is terrible. Is it prolozone therapy?
Prolozone therapy, yes. Prolozone therapy is a combination of two therapies. It was combined by Dr. Frank Schallenberg, who's out in Carson City, Nevada. Prolotherapy is basically if you have an inflamed or arthritic joint that's just chronically inflamed and painful. What prolotherapy does, first of all, is it takes it from a chronic problem into an acute problem, so that it gets your body's attention, sends extra blood, extra oxygen, extra stem cells, and actually starts cleaning up the joint. And what Dr. Schallenberg found was that the older patients did not do quite as well as the younger patients. And the difference between older patients and younger patients is oxygen utilization. So he took O3, ozone, and injected that after he did the first part and combined the two therapies and got tremendous results. And that's what we can, you can. I actually took one lady who came to me for, she was about to have her right knee replaced and was really kind of anxious about it. And I said, well, they have to have dental clearance beforehand because they don't want to have any dental infections possibly causing problems with the knee replacement. And so we did 4 treatments on her every other week, every 2 weeks, and she no longer needed her knee replaced. And she was walking up and down stairs, back and forth to her, in around her town without any pain, and so she didn't need a knee replaced, which is huge.
Right. That sounds amazing. That really does sound amazing because there are so many people out there with these issues. I mean, I suffer with arthritis, and so this sounds like it might be something that could kind of help me too. What other conditions does ozone cure or assist or help with?
Earlier this year, my fiancée was diagnosed with RSD, which is a reflex syndrome dystrophy, which meant she had chronic pain in her right foot. The only treatment that modern medicine has right now is ketamine infusions, which is basically pain management. I found Dr. Howard Robbins up in Manhattan, right near Carnegie Hall, who was doing direct IV ozone gas. I went up there with her. We talked about it, and I went up and got trained with him. What happens is you actually take ozone gas at a certain concentration, start an IV, and put the gas
so that
directly
goes directly into the
vein,
bloodstream.
right into the bloodstream.
Right.
What that does is it starts a cascade of reactive oxygen species,
right,
and starts killing especially viruses, fungi, parasites, bacteria, anything that's growing. And again, it's not a one-time treatment. This is something that needs to be treated over and over again, especially if it's a chronic. So you can talk about we can treat Lyme, we can treat hepatitis, we can treat some HIV issues, we can do lots of things, herpes, all the different viral stuff that instead of taking antibiotics or antivirals and stuff, this gets right to it. And he's had tremendous success. He's done 150,000 plus of these, and has had, I think, 1 or 2 patients who've had some sensitivity to it. I've treated my fiancée, Heidi. You knew Heidi already. And
yes, they do.
She is getting better. She could barely walk 6 months ago. Now she's walking, slight limp, but each day, each treatment, we try to do 2 or 3 treatments a week, and she's getting better and better and better. And medicine doesn't have anything. And that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what I can do to make myself, my family, my loved ones, / patients, expand it to patients, what I can do that medicine is missing.
Right. That sounds really interesting. And the implications for this are really far-reaching, aren't they? I know we've actually talked about. I'm gonna come see you for a consultation. I'm gonna film that for the TV show. But one of the things I found really interesting on your website, as someone who suffers from sinus pain, apparently this helps to treat with sinus pain too. I mean,
absolutely.
This is amazing.
Well, usually most sinus problems that become chronic. Again, you're put on antibiotics. The antibiotics kill all the good and the bad bacteria, which kind of leads to a fungal infection. Yeah, you've heard of women getting yeast infections after antibiotics.
Yep.
Well, guess what? In your sinus means not a lot of blood supply, empty space. Well, when there's not a lot of blood supply, the antibiotics aren't going to do a whole lot. It's an empty space. Well, what we do is we bubble ozone through olive oil, which makes it safe to breathe. If we did direct ozone right through your sinuses, it would bother your lungs, and it would really you'd be coughing within the first couple seconds. But bubbling it through olive oil changes its properties and allows us to perfuse your sinuses. And we also go through your ears as well, nose and ears, kind of to clean up your head. And again, it's usually a lot of times 2 or 3 treatments, over a week and a half period. We've had a great success.
Wow, that's amazing, and I think that there is clearly a need for these types of therapies, because I know myself, but for enough years I was taking morphine derivatives. Sometimes the pain was so bad. So this is kind of like really interesting to me. So basically, is ozone anything similar to, we hear about the ozone layer that's around the Earth that apparently there are holes in? Is it similar to that? Is it?
It actually is the same chemical. What happens is that when you have O2, which is our normal oxygen that everyone knows about, when oxygen is hit with energy, it breaks up and you have O and O3. O3 and O are very reactive, so it's very unstable. What happens in our air is a cycle. O2 is lighter than air, so it goes up. It gets hit by energy. it becomes O3. O3 is heavier, and it's also negatively charged. It drops. It finds some free radical or some impurity or some pollution or something, gives up its electron, neutralizes it, and then the oxygen goes back up, gets hit, and back and forth and back and forth. And that's how ozone cleans our air as well as cleans our body. It neutralizes free radicals in our body, kills all microorganisms, stimulates blood supply, stimulates our immune system. It's as close to with no toxicity. The only reactions that we have with people is because of the kill-off and because of the reaction, the body has to clean up the mess. And sometimes you can kind of feel a little run down, a little flu-like. That's the only issue that we have.
Right. I actually read something this week that, because I think that a lot of things are helpful for people with illness, kind of like in conjunction with other things. And I heard this thing this week about the fasting for 2 days for people with certain illnesses actually rejuvenates the immune system, because obviously a majority of your immune system, I don't know what the percentile is actually in your stomach. So even doing that to improve your immune system in conjunction with something like this, that is surely better than swallowing fistfuls of pills, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, again, the pills, again, I sit there and shake my head at the TV when they talk about, they have a 15-minute drug commercial and then 45 minutes may cause death, may cause this, may cause this, may cause this. And I'm just shaking my head and laughing. It's like, why would anyone put that in their body? And there are better ways, simpler ways, safer ways, natural ways, and it's just a matter of finding someone who can help you and look at you as a whole being and not just look at the numbers on your tests. Exactly.
I think that modern medicine has this kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? They have like a general approach to everybody, and I think that's concerning because even if 10 people have the same condition, there's no guarantee that treating it in the same way in each of those 10 people is going to have the same result. So surely we have to be looking at the individualized response to any medical condition. I mean, I'm not medically trained.
Right, that's holistic. That's what holistic means. It's looking at you as a whole individual and not just trying to cover up symptoms. One of the things that I've always said is that, let's say you had a car and the check engine light came on and you went to your mechanic and they said, oh, we're just going to put a piece of tape over it, just keep driving, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's what modern medicine is doing with these drugs and treating symptoms. They're not treating the root cause. No. They're just not. And it's kind of sad. And you need to really find someone who really, they've been indoctrinated. Medicine has been hijacked by the pharmaceutical companies years ago, probably 80, 90 years ago. And they're taught to give pills to cover up symptoms instead of taking a step back, getting to know you, getting to know your nutritional stuff, getting to know your other things that are going on with your body, and trying to get to the root cause to stop the disease instead of managing it. You want to get to health. You don't want to manage disease and be on all these drugs for the rest of your life and dealing with the side effects of all these drugs by taking more drugs.
Exactly.
And it's just a negative downward spiral of disease management instead of health creation.
When I came back to America, I was on so much medication, and I really, just because of the financial aspect, had to kind of cut back, because obviously in the United Kingdom you get all of this for a couple of pounds per item, but here it was so expensive. So part of it was a financial concern, but also my liver function improved when I stopped taking all of these medications, because when you're constantly pumping your body full of these things, your liver obviously has to filter out all of these brain has gone.
the impurities
your liver has
and the
impurities. That's the word.
Metabolites of all the different things that have gone through. Yeah.
Exactly. So your liver is kind of put under pressure. So all of these things that we've been talking about are healthier alternatives.
Absolutely.
To pain
and
control.
They're out there.
Now,
they're out there.
Absolutely.
And people are studying them. People are using them. It's being done. It's just unfortunate that people sometimes have to decide whether they want to be healthy or they want to, but they have to. If you go to an alternative doctor, you're going to a lot of times have to pay out of pocket. Or you go where they tell you to go with your health insurance and stay sick. That's unfortunately where it's going right now.
It's kind of just like it's just kind of like the decision about whether you want to eat organic or not. It costs a little bit more to eat organic, but the benefits are far outreaching. And that at some point there has to be a higher consideration given to your health rather than your pocket. One thing I want to ask you about is, now I've had acupuncture myself, and I wasn't that impressed with it.
Right.
And when I lived in England, I had acupuncture for weight loss. Now, I noticed you do electronic acupuncture.
Right.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Electronic acupuncture is an electronic device. It's really kind of simple. It pumps electrons into your body from the point of where the machine is, and I actually hold from another place, and there's an electrode on my wrist. So between the point and the electrode on my wrist, electrons are shot. A lot of times pain and inflammation, free radicals, they're all positively charged. So if you pump you pump electrons which are negatively charged, it will reduce the inflammation. It will also, again, stimulate your body. It's kind of like prolozone light in a way, meaning that it's giving electrons, but you're not giving the injections, and it's not quite, so it's I'll use that sometimes after I've used prolozone for a while and people are better but not all the way there, or if they're just kind of having minor nuisances and they say, let's try this because maybe they're a little fearful of the injections. It's just another way of stimulating the body, tricking the body to heal itself.
Is this and obviously I'm using layman's terminology now, is this kind of similar to the principle of using a TENS machine?
A little bit. This is a little bit more invasive. The TENS machine is more for pain management, and it does stimulate some healing. This is a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more invasive, and a little more profound.
Right. I can see that once I come to see you, I think I'm going to be coming to see you quite often because this is really interesting and sounds very much like some of the things that I've been looking for. So, Michael, we're coming to the end
of... on the big screen.
Go on.
I can't wait for you to put you up on the big screen with the video tour so you can see tooth by tooth what's going on.
Exactly.
It'll be fun.
So we're coming to the end of our time together, but tell people about the special offer we have for Xandermonium listeners who are going to come and visit you.
Yes, the special offer is a complimentary video tour and consult where I'm going to spend a half an hour with you. If you can bring x-rays, that would be even more fun. But you're going to basically get the advantage of asking me anything you want. I'm going to spend a half an hour of my time with you, which is $125 value.
Wow.
So that you can find out whether or not you want to see me, if you want to continue working with me, or if you just want the information so that you know what's going on and what you can do about it in the future.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's very valuable, and there's no risk. Come and see me and my practice, me and my staff. We'll have a fun half hour together. You'll learn a lot. We'll learn a little bit about you and what's going on for you, and and talk about what we might be able to do to help you.
Absolutely, and make sure you mention the Xandermonium show to be able to access this special offer. So tell people where they can find you on social media, Michael. I know you're on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes, Facebook and Twitter, and again, my website is southjerseysmiles.com or drmichaelrouff.com, as well as, again, I just did that YouTube, and if they YouTube my name, Dr. Michael Rouff, Dr. Michael I. Rouff, they'll be able to get. It's about 14 minutes of a little more in depth of the 5-6 things that we started to talk about earlier.
Brilliant.
And how to find a good holistic dentist.
Brilliant. We'll add that to the show page, Michael, so that when people go to get your details, they can see that too. There are links there to Michael's website, so make sure you go check him out. I would love you to come back again in the future and talk with again, because I think that once again we just kind of like touched the surface, but because of time and stuff. But thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Michael Rouff.
My pleasure.
Make sure you check out his website, Facebook, and Twitter, and make sure you take advantage of that special offer, and go and find out a little bit more about this ozone treatment. And I know for sure that it's all on the website because I checked all of this out myself. So go take a look at it if you think you might benefit. Thank you so much, Michael. You have a fabulous
Xander.
week. And give our love to Heidi. Have a good rest of the night. You too.
I will
Thanks
say
a
hello,
lot.
Heidi.
Take
Thank
care.
you. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was holistic biological dentist Dr. Michael Rouff. Make sure you check him out on Facebook and Twitter, and also go check out his website. The links are all on the show page for today at www.xandergibb.com, and click on today's show, and it will take you there. Thank you also to my co-host today, the fabulous author, writer, broadcaster, honorary Glaswegian, the one, the only, Tyhe Paul Egar. And most of all, thank you to you for listening. Thank you to everyone in chat. Thank you to Sleep for participating. And I love you all. Bye-bye.